Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You are listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Kirby, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. In the lead up to Scream 7, I couldn't be more grateful for everybody out there who listens to the show, who supports my podcast here, listening every episode, or on social media on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. If you would like to become a member of the podcast, come to the group Zooms, be on the show on a one-on-one or small group setting, consider joining the Patreon with Scream with Ryan C. Showers. In addition to the benefits of coming on the podcast, you can also join our social media groups, in particular on Instagram. That's the main hub of the podcast. I also do a monthly audio commentary of a Scream movie or a Scream-related film. From now through April, we are going to be having a new Scream movie audio commentary. So if you would like to hear my thoughts in an audio commentary form in the style of Wes Craven, Marianne Maddalena, et al. Of the original trilogy, please consider subscribing and supporting the show. Thank you to every single person out there who subscribes on Patreon. Specifically, I need to thank my Daddy Ghost Faces and Stab investors over at Patreon. Starting out strong, we have Carrie Tenney, our Mama Ghostface, Corey Wilson, and Brett Janovich. And then we have Kevin Abner, Ali, Roy Garza, Josh Carr, Mark Rim, PWO5, Gustavo Mora, Mark Vieira, Scream Queens podcast, both Josh and Justine, Joey Nobarini, aka The Vault, The Horror Project podcast, David D, Jess Mariano, Sam Levy, Tamika Jones, Josh Calamari, and Andrew Dominguez. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. So last month, for the Patreon exclusive content for the podcast, we did the Scream 1996 audio commentary. Now, this month, we are doing the Scream 2 audio commentary. So 1997, Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson teamed up and gave us this amazing sequel, one that many people think is genuinely better than the first movie. One that I've even flopped back and forth on for whether I prefer one or two. So, and like, I just, even if I prefer one in my ranking, there is something about Scream 2 and Scream 3 together. Like, for my money, the original, in the way that some people treat it, like they treat the original as though it can be a standalone movie. And I guess technically they're right, even though in my mind, all three movies are spiritually linked. It's one big, long story. The aspect of 2 that I really adore is, like, I think that Scream really becomes Scream here, or the Scream trilogy really becomes the Scream trilogy with Scream 2 and Scream 3. There's something about the identity and the way that Wes Craven kind of takes control of the franchise with Scream 2 and 3 that just like gives it something that it does something that the original doesn't. I feel like with Scream 1, they were really playing by the book and yada yada, like the script was so perfect and it was such a guiding force. And then here is where Wes really starts to kind of expand the mythology, the personalities, the character arcs, and just like the vibe of the franchise. So I'm excited to be bringing you the Scream 2 audio commentary here. I love this movie, and I'm really excited to do it. So let's kick into high gear. So there will be a couple of minutes here that are free to the public for you to consume, of course. If you aren't subscribed to the Patreon, and if you like what you hear and you want to listen to the complete commentary, please go over to my page on Patreon and subscribe. As always, you can listen to this episode as though it's a regular podcast episode, or you can link it up with the actual movie sitting in front of you so you can get the full Wes Craven, Marianne Maddalena, Patrick Lussier experience. I'm probably going to reference their audio commentary a lot because I've actually just listened to it recently, so it's very fresh in my head, and it's very defining for what I think of Scream 2 and how I view it. I view it through the lens of Wes Craven and Marianne Madalena, and their joint venture making these movies. So if you're going to sync up with the movie itself, I'm going to do a countdown. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then we're all going to press play and be at 000 on like the time at the same time. And you can listen to me as you watch the movie. Or if you just want to listen to what I have to say, I promise I'm going to be talking nonstop for the next 2 hours. So it should be entertaining. So, and Scream fans, let's be real. We all know the movie so well. I mean, I could probably perform this audio commentary without the movie. I could probably just sit here and imagine, every second of Scream 2 from the start to the end, and just talk for 2 hours, imagining what's going on, even though it's not sitting in front of me. That's just how well and encyclopedic I am about these. So, all right, well, let's do it. I'm going to hit play here. Let me get the movie up. Okay. Badoop, badoop. Okay. So I am resting at 000, and we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and play. All right, here we go. Do, 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 do. So, one thing about Scream, I am encyclopedic about these movies and the plot and the filmmaking choices, the direction, the writing, the acting, the character, the mythology. I know all of that like the back of my hand. It's like breathing to me. I'm not good with music. I'm really not. My friend Sam, he picked this song for one of the songs we did in like May of 2025. We went through and I was like, oh my God, that's the name of this song. So, God, I hate this movie. I hate scary movies. Sorry, I got that wrong. Unless she's naked. So, the one thing about this is so like, people praise Drew Barrymore's opening from top to bottom all day long. And I think that Scream 2's opening is just as good as the Scream 1 opening in so many ways. In the concept and the philosophy and the thought behind it, in the epic scope in terms of doing something different. I think that Drew Barrymore is maybe a little more impactful because we're with one character the whole way through. And this is playing with so much. It's playing with race commentary. It's playing with the stab of it all. It's playing with, meta. It's playing with the movie theater setting. I think let's just start here at the movie theater setting. It's so brilliant by Wes and Kevin to literally start outside the theater. We see the crowd. We see the visuals of how big of a deal Stab is in this world and in this moment. And also as a relic, like let's just say Netflix does in fact buy the WB. Like let's just say that happens and movie theaters do go away. This could be a relic someday, seeing the Scream 2 movie theater scene like this. So it's so nostalgic. But having this set in a movie theater was just a stroke of genius on so many levels. Love the Stab opening title track, like the image. Also, Ghostface flying through the air, based on the book The Woodsboro Murders by Gail Weathers. Oh my God! Oh my God! I love it. So, Stab O Vision. Oh, so fun. It's so interesting. Like if this were being filmed today, there would be a lot of discussion about fandom. I don't think that this was even fandom back then because this is the first movie. This is just pure hype. This is cinema. This is like going to the movie theater. It's something like that's so out of touch. I don't think that we would ever have an original film come out today where there would be this much hype. People would be dressed in costumes and of this nature. And let's be real, okay? Like, this is kind of the point of the Scream 2 opening in some respect is to be a little bit of a parody, a little bit of a spoof, a little bit of satire, like because it's so exaggerated in terms of just how much people are engaging, how everybody is dressed up in Ghostface. There is a point there about the cultural desensitization of this really serious topic. Also, so smart. Stab itself is so smart because, like, great, we saw Casey Becker. We know the real truth of her story. She was never naked. She was never in the shower. And yet Wes and Kevin are showing us, oh, this is what Hollywood does. They take the truth of something and they make it pornographic. They make it less intelligent. They make it something that the masses need to want to see in terms of naked bodies. And like Ghostface jumping out here. Again, it's so clever because, again, we didn't see that in the original. We were there. Like Taylor Swift says in All Too Well, it was rare. I was there. I remember it all too well. We remember Casey Becker, and this shit didn't happen, but they're showing the Hollywoodization of the Woodsboro events. and there's a commentary there, right? The Hollywood isn't telling the full truth, and that things are being sensationalized and making serious things flatten them, to be more shallow, right? So I don't like games. Who is this? Even like within the dialogue, because those of us who know the dialogue from Scream 1 so well know how much and know what was said and know the depth and like the humanity there. And then to see it Hollywoodized, right? Here's an interesting question. Did Gail write this dialogue or did the shitty writer of Stab write this dialogue? So yeah, I got my money. I asked for your money. So the thing about Jada Pinkett Smith in this role, and I can't believe I've gotten 5 minutes into this and haven't mentioned her name, or Omar Epps, who are both amazing opening victims. It's hard because with Drew Barrymore, it's like well, Drew Barrymore is that opening, and here with this opening, there is a setting and there is Stab, and there's so much going on top of just the opening victims. I think in some ways, like Maureen and Phil aren't as full of characters as Casey Becker is, but especially Phil. I mean, like Maureen is, I think, pretty dang good. I think she's interesting. I think she would have been a really cool character to have seen in Windsor College to interact, possibly even with Sydney, right? But I think that she has a lot of spunk to her and a lot of personality. And that's she's so memorable because of that. Like I think I haven't seen everything that Jada Pinkett Smith has ever done, but I would say this is one of her best and most memorable performances. So, and of course the iconic, small popcorn. I'm sorry, medium popcorn, no butter, and small Diet Pepsi, and they are huge. I mean, like you go to AMC right now, and that is the size of the popcorn when you get a large, right? And that Diet Pepsi is enormous. So, the thing I like about Bill Maureen is like he is kind of like, he wants to be there, she doesn't, and he is playing and trying to have fun as a boyfriend girlfriend. Even like that moment of just scaring her. And she's resisting. I love that Wes shows us that Maureen, a black woman, is already like she's uncomfortable. She senses something is off, and yet no one's believing her, not even her boyfriend, right? So it's just there's commentary in that. But I also love here what I love about Maureen is like, do you see it? She gives in to him, right? This whole time she's had a really sour attitude about being here, and then finally, she lets her guard down because that's what people do. That's what people who do like who are in love. That's what we do for each other. We genuflect and we make the best of a situation that we don't want to be in because we're with our person. And I love that like Wes shows us that shade of her, despite the cautiousness that she has in the scene overall. So, and the thing about it is like seeing the audience react to Stab is funny. Like that is the point. It's supposed to be funny. And we have the popcorn burning. Oh my God. Like it's so good. The theater that they chose, the Rialto, is such a great choice as well. It's so spooky. You could have gone to any movie theater and it not be as scary, but like the red on the wall and like the colors in there, it's very, very scary. What did Kevin write in the script? Wes will make it scary. He not for the scene, but for some scene. I think it was the cop car scene. And Wes did make it scary. So even like this bathroom scene, like the symbols on the wall, there's just an element of spookiness, and it provides a lot of atmosphere. And also this little gag of the two ghost faces looking over their shoulders, peeing. So here's the deal with this scene. Whenever you first watch this scene of him in the bathroom stall, I have the experience that like it's like, oh wow, that was so cool. When you're watching it, and then as you think about it, it's like, oh, this was kind of illogical. Kind of like, how did this really happen? But at the same time, there's some creativity in it, and it's memorable, right? So it's a hard scene to evaluate. On one hand, you can judge it and love it. I'm sorry. On one hand, you can watch it and love it, just on the surface. But then when you think about the logic, it doesn't really line up. Even though here, I love that Mickey. Oh, I'm assuming it's Mickey in the bathroom stall. He's saying "mommy, mommy," and he's almost playing. He's probably playing with himself, right? Or at least that's what Phil thinks. And that, of course, leads into his partner, Mrs. Loomis, and the whole arc of Scream 2, which is, she is the killer, So I feel like it has to be Mickey here. I mean, of course, no one's going to dispute that. Like, he is appropriately, in height and in size as a man, right? As a regular adult male, as opposed to, a 5 foot, 45-year-old woman, right? But I also just love that shot of Ghostface like pausing as the other ghost faces leave the bathroom. There's a quietness. It's really smart. But like the logic of Phil is frustrating. It's because like, you know, how did Ghostface know exactly where Phil's head was going to be? Like, what if he had his head higher or lower, you know, and he missed his shot? And what if Phil saw a knife come through and he screamed, and then the other ghost faces came in and tried to help him? Like, it was just and how did he know that? Like, most people don't put their ears up to a bathroom stall, a dirty, gross bathroom stall. It was a long shot for Mickey to make that. It works for him, whatever. So I absolutely love this. This is what we're missing in Scream Killers. This level of intelligence. The fact that Mickey puts on the boyfriend's puts on Phil's jacket and then sits next to her, and she's lulled into a sense of security because she thinks it's him. Why wouldn't it be him? You know, he already had the mask on. He you know, it's his jacket. That is what a smart killer does. Even down to the stab and the slow motion, it's so reminiscent of Scream. And this is the way you do meta. This is the way you talk about the industry and like art and like make a comment on it, right? So and I love how she slowly recognizes this. It's like, oh wow, no, my gut instincts were right here. This is fucked up. It's so scary. I love the shot of Jada too. It's just like with the blood on her hands. It's just like also that there's a symbolism there too. Blood on your hands, right? I don't know. Amazing scream by her right there. I also love this face that she makes in the sound, like like, you know, the shock and horror. You know, I also just love Jada's outfit. I just have to say, I love that maroon color. It looks great on her, and her haircut. She's fabulous. So, the music really adds here. Is it the music of Scream 2 or is it the music of Stab? Probably both, right? And it's just the imagery of this is so arresting. Again, from like a racial point of view, and like what it's saying about the commentary about the way that society treats Black women, right? But then also how grotesque it is that this person is being murdered in front of all of these movie fans, and everyone thinks it's a joke. You know, it's not a fucking joke. And the fact that she's being murdered as Casey Becker is being murdered in Stab. There's so much going on here. It's so intelligent to literally see Ghostface's knife going up and down on Stab Casey as Maureen is getting stabbed, you know, in the front, in the back. And this is such a raw moment. Like this scream, oh, and like the look on her face and like the way that everyone goes silent, and just how sad she is, and everyone just not knowing what to do and everyone taking their mask off. And I think that's Wes is literally having a point there, right? He said everyone is saying, oh shit, this is real. We're taking our masks off. This isn't just something that we are exhibitors of. So, and the fact that we sit on Jada's dead body there for a couple of seconds is really interesting in a way that like we didn't really sit on Casey Becker's. It was such a, you know, boom, boom, boom. And with Cotton Weary, it's a slash. We cut right to the title card. Maureen dies, and then we just sit there with her. You know, it's so sad. What a great opening scene. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Sidney Prescott, baby. Corey Gillis, 555. I said it too soon. Sorry. And we have the famous picture of Maureen Prescott and her mom, Maureen, sitting by her nightstand with the phone, reminiscent of Scream 1. So great. It's so interesting because, like, here with Sidney, if she feels so, the continuity feels so strong with her from Scream 1 to Scream 2, even though you can completely tell she's in a different place in her life by her look, her vibe, her attitude. And the way that she clocks Corey Gillis with her nice watch. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the movie. I love this scene. I love Sidney's introductions in the original trilogy. I think that each one gets better and better. Again, there's a lot that this scene covers. It shows us what Sidney's life is like now. It shows us that she has a best friend. It shows us her personality. It shows us that Cotton is still out there in the world, that he's been released. And how brilliant of Kevin Williamson to like plant that seed. It'd be a huge part of Scream 1. And now here we are. We're getting to interact with something that was organically grown out of the first movie. It's so brilliant. And there's Kevin Williamson himself, our director, our savior, our Scream 7 king. Love it. And I'll say that shot of Nev is so great. Her performance here is so good. Not in this scene, but in this movie. It's so good. She looks so pretty. I love the hair, the bob, the brown eyes. But we learn a lot, even like, and we also see that this is still a sensitive spot for Sidney. she pauses and she's kind of consumed by the TV in that moment, right? So and here we go again, with Hallie, we're not only do we see who she lives with, that she has a stable friendship, that she's doing really, really well, but that Hallie is kind of pushing her out of her comfort zone in some ways. And that we're setting up, the college dynamic and Sydney's personality and who she is now. I love that, like, we kind of alluded to Sydney's religious beliefs too. Little breadcrumbs like that really can make a character feel complete. So check out the news. And we have the Freddy Krueger sweater in the background. Very nice touch. Also, this is just such good writing. It's just like, we get a lot of character, we get a lot of backstory, and then it's like, boom, Sydney, our heroine, is brought into the main storyline of Stab and Maureen and the murders happening again. It's so, so good. Oh, I love this movie so much. um, Also, the thing that's really interesting about Scream 2 is we're starting to see this celebrity aspect to Sidney Prescott really take form, and that's kind of the whole point of Wes, is like Sidney's life being on display for the world to see in a heightened way from Scream 1 to Scream 2 before it's full blown Hollywood in Scream 3. And the way that Sidney interacts with media and media interacts with her, very well done there. So. Oh, look, it's the classroom discussion. And there's our girl, Cece Cooper, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Love her purple, love her hair, love her, period. So it's interesting because I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I think she's like I've said on the podcast before, she's like my favorite actress out there on her own, apart from Scream. I love that she's a part of Scream in this role. I don't think Cece's the greatest character in the world. Like I wouldn't put her up there in like my top 10 characters. I think she's fun and interesting and nice enough for Scream 2. But I wouldn't say that she is like a clear MVP. But whenever she's on screen, she makes it count. Like she makes this scene so memorable. And also it kind of sets up Mickey's motive too. This is what I love about Wes Craven's films, is like he gives the killers their own world, their own way of thinking, their own agenda, right? And I think Mickey going after Cece not only because of her name, but because like she challenges him here. She takes Randy's side and she kind of puts him in his place. So it's just it's interesting. And I love Scream 2 so much, but Wes, come on. They could have ADR'd that. The aliens line, they got it wrong. Fucking A, Wes. Like, god damn it. Oh, it makes me so mad. Because the line is, get away from her, you bitch. Not Jamie Kennedy, like, girl. Yes. So, I made it through this scene, have barely even mentioned anything about Randy. I was kind of harsh. I've always been a little harsher on Randy in Scream 1 versus Randy in Scream 2. I think he's so great here. He's darker, he's more mature. He's still goofy, but it's a there's growth here, and I like that. So one thing that people may or may not know, there was a scene that was filmed in Atlanta with these characters. It took place in like an auditorium, and Wes wanted to include Sarah Michelle Gellar in the scene to give her more screen time. So this is reshot footage that they did in LA after filming Wrapped, which is interesting, right? And it's also like, can you imagine like all the people that had to be there for this, like Sarah, Nev, interrupting their TV schedules, and it flows naturally, you would never know that the Nev Campbell that was sitting in the hallway there is a different Nev Campbell right here. So, and I have to say, one thing that Marianne and Wes talked about often in their audio commentary was just how much they were on their own asses. They were really cognizant of the plot holes and what they were missing and where the film wasn't complete. So much so that they, went back and reshot things and got specific ADR lines to make everything feel cohesive and click. And I think that is like one of the biggest things that is different between Scream 2 and say Scream 6, like Wes Craven versus Radio Silence. And I know that sounds harsh and it sounds like an impossible standard, but like, if you're going to make if you're going to make two movies in a franchise that Wes Craven put his heart and soul into, you have to step your pussy up, right? So, and the introduction of Derek. I missed the introduction of Derek, but and I like that Randy has kind of moved on from Sydney. he still loves her as a friend. He's still a little bit jealous. He's still a little bit annoyed, but he's moved on, which is nice. He's not an incel, which is something I like, and probably why I like him more here than in Scream 1. Oh, Gale Weathers, the best Gale Weathers. Oh my gosh, the Scream 2 Gale Weathers. Look at that hair, look at that outfit, look at that body, look at that sass, look at that walk. Oh my God, she is that bitch. Ah. And like the way that the way that Courtney just kind of flipped her hair and like looked over her shoulder to the left. Man, I just think that she looks so sharp there. Like this whole like introduction of Gale is it just oozes confidence. It oozes badass. It oozes everything that we want Gale Weathers to be. And this is Gale like at her most, quote, bad, right? Because Gale's arc in this, for lack of a better phrase, is from bad to good and kind of growing to see, growing from a very cynical, power hungry, no emotions place to a place of understanding and, and being truly impacted by the murders and seeing the murders for what they are and like really becoming invested as a survivor, not just as somebody exploiting these for money. So, and we have Debbie Salt. Laurie Metcalf is so brilliant in this role, both as the reporter and then as Nancy Loomis at the end. It was such a smart decision for Mrs. Loomis to go after Sydney in Scream 2, of course, but like also Gale, because Gale and Sydney, they were the two, right? They murdered Billy Loomis, and like Nancy probably knows that like it's a huge risk to go anywhere near Sydney because Sydney may recognize her, but Gale never met her, right? So she can still irritate Gale and be annoying to her and like still kind of mess with her, but it kind of go under the radar. So also Gale just feels like a huge celebrity. That's what I love about Wes's films. Like, not only like what I just said about like Mrs. Loomis wanting to go after Sydney and Gale as a unit because of they were the two final girls that killed Billy Loomis, right? And that's a Wes Craven thing. Wes is already establishing that like they are co-leads. They are who we, the fans in 2025, think that they are. Like when we get upset that Gale Weathers isn't respected in Scream 6, it's because Wes Craven made this franchise around Nev and Courtney in a very specific way. So, and we get a friendship scene here. We like this. We have a friend group, and they're watching Gale. Like this is such a unique scene, and I don't know if Scream can ever really pull off a scene like this ever again. Where my friend Zach Cherry calls it like all of the suspects are in this scene. Every member of the cast basically is in this sequence of like it is kind of like meet all of the characters, meet the suspects. Who's the roster we're playing with here? And I really like it. I like that. It's such a relic. Even in Scream 1, we don't really get this. I guess we get the fountain scene kind of. And that's kind of what this scene is mirrored after, I guess. But like, yeah, I don't know. So if you squint, you can kind of see Sarah Michelle Gellar in the background here at times. Whenever the girls first walk to Sydney, Sister Lois and Sister Murphy, she's there. There was some cut dialogue. It was kind of cringe and kind of graphic and like kind of dumb. And I think that it was such a smart, mature choice of Wes to ditch that and give us Cece in the classroom instead. Like I think we come away with Cece as a much more grounded human being in the classroom than we would have if we would have been introduced to her with some grotesque sorority sister bullshit. So, yeah, but yeah, this is such an impressive sequence. Just how much they're juggling, like the way that like, this all is like in the courtyard of the school. Yet we have Gale, we have Mrs. Loomis, we have the friendship group, we have the sorority sisters, we have Dewey, like, and then we have all of them colliding when the Cotton arrives, and then Gale and Dewey. It's just like so much happens here. It's so smart. So yeah, and we have Dewey's theme. There's a lot of drama behind that in terms of like the rights and like how it was incorporated and yada yada. But here we are. So Dewey and Sydney, oh my God. This kind of like catch up, this personal connection, this history, it's so felt. So one of my favorite shots of Scream 2 is coming up right here. It's right here of Nev right there in the gazebo, and the camera's kind of panning around her. There's also a still of Sydney basically in this moment, like a promotional photograph of Nev. She looks beautiful. It's like the way that Wes films this, the way that Nev plays it, like you get the sense of the first movie. You can feel the first movie's history here. It doesn't feel like this is a brand new story, or that Sydney isn't not coping with the past, right? Or let me rephrase that. Like the whole point of this Act 1 of Scream 2, Sydney, is like she's trying to push forward, even though deep down she probably knows it's happening again, but she's trying her best to just continue to live her best life and like kind of like disregard what's really happening. But I guess with this Dewey scene, like whenever I see Sydney here, I just feel the events of Scream 1. Like I feel her mind. I feel like, underneath the surface. And that's a something that you can't really ever prove. It's so subjective, but it's just like something that's so magical about the filmmaking here, and what Wes was doing here, and what Nev was doing here too, for a matter of fact. So. And look at Mickey with his video camera capturing all this shit that Gail and Dewey will eventually see. And again, Wes puts him off to the side. We see it in bits and pieces. Like who would really pick up on that when they're watching it for the first time? So interesting. The one thing I don't like is that Randy wasn't in this scene. Like that Randy left and we went to talk to Dewey. Like I get like it's chess pieces, but like, I wish he would have been in this moment. And there's Cotton, one of the best characters in the Scream franchise. Here we are with Cotton Weary. With Cotton Weary for the first time since she wrongly accused him. Look at Gail performing. All of the notes that she's hitting. Boom, ba-doom, boom, boom, I love that Sydney doesn't immediately approach her with hostility. I guess she kind of does. She says, "What do you want, Gail?" But Gail has the microphone. Had Gail just went up to her and said, "Hi, Sydney," without the microphone, maybe Sydney would have been different. But interesting. And we get a slap, the last slap of the Sidney Prescott, Gail Weathers era. Did you get that on film? Yes, I got that on film. So little do people know is that Elise Neal really wanted that moment. Did you get that on film? And it was unscripted for Duane Martin to say that, to mimic her. And she's talked about this before, about how angry she was at Duane that he kind of stole her moment and upstaged her. But yeah, you'll get your 10 minutes when I get my goddamn interview. Again. So, not to be superficial here, because there's so much to Gail Weathers besides her hair, but the Gail hair is really something incredible. And this specific hair, and like people love this hair. I love this hair. It's just, there's something again about like the original trilogy with like, being so cohesive and like having the same stuff done in different ways. And one of those things is Gail's hairstyles being so unique and individualized. But there's something so sexy about this hairstyle. Courtney rocks the red. I love the red and black together. As a little kid, I kind of wanted I wanted to have like those streaks, and I'm just like, God, Ryan, no, it would have been terrible if no, on a gay kid in Central PA. Give me a break. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this public preview of the commentary for this month. If you would like to listen to the complete audio commentary for the movie, please head on over to Patreon, Scream with RCS, subscribe at any tier to get the audio for this movie, for the audio commentary. Or if you subscribe at a higher tier 2 or above, you can get the video for me performing the commentary while watching the movie. So again, everybody, thank you so much for supporting the podcast.